Y'all, it's story time. I just want to get on here and tell y'all this. It is so interesting how in the dating world today, it sometimes it can be very, very difficult. But as a woman, it is so different being with a real man versus a fake man versus someone who feels like they in competition with you, they're challenging you, they have so many things negative to say about women, yet they'll go around laying up with tons of women. The lack of respect that man has for himself and others is just far beyond your wildest imagination. But when you get with a real man, the amount of security and safety you feel when you land in his arms, when you're having conversations with them, um, it's unparalleled. It's a dynamic that is very hard to explain. The amount of softness you operate in, the softness in your responses, the way you feel, you feel so feminine, you feel so alive, you feel like you can let your guard down, you feel safe. Um, it is just a feeling that is just fantastic to a real woman. The divine feminine is able to immediately get into a servant, submissive, comfortable, um, you know, state. Not only her, the state of mind of a female, but her body and the responsiveness of her body and the way she moves. So it is just something it feels so good as a woman to be in the presence of a masculine man, and not one who's screaming that from the rooftop, so to speak, like quote unquote, but someone who's really walking in their masculinity, understanding their position, confident, secure, successful. They have their head on straight, and it's not that they're not making mistakes, or this man is maybe not a cheater or whatever the case may be, because that man still has struggles, but the way he interacts with women is at a whole nother level. So those red pill guys and all those guys out here talking about women this, women that, they have no idea how to be a masculine man and how to walk in their masculinity. And they walk in a lot of insecurities. That's why they spend so much time talking about women versus helping men to find their their inner level of respect for themselves, meaning they're not sleeping around with every woman, to find peace within themselves, to love themselves, to develop spiritually, to evolve. Because a lot of this stuff that's happening with relationships today has to do with the lack of evolution of man. He's the leader, right? So if the divine feminine, is becoming educated, independent, working, and doing all these things, and the man feels like, oh, he should be entitled because he's a man, he's a male, and he has a ding dong. Well, not necessarily anymore, because what a woman needed men for, whether it be 20 years ago, 30 years ago, she doesn't need that same thing from them. So it's just like a job, the requirements have changed. And so if the requirements has changed, you have one or two things that you can do. You can skill up or skill out. And so these men are spending so much time online talking about women versus enhancing their skills, understanding, how do I speak to this woman now? How do I treat this woman now? How do I show up in relationships? Why am I always chasing after this false reality online, as if I have so many options, when realistically, the women in my sphere of influence are the ones who impact me and help me to grow, especially the woman who raised you, which is usually their moms, right? A lot of these men have probably been raised by single mothers, and they don't even appreciate or respect them based on that woman trying to show them the direction to become a man, which she couldn't, but therefore she had to use hard love because she knew that was a male. And so they have so much regret and resentment around women and hurting them, but they take no accountability or responsibility for the evolution of themselves, which could be studying, reading, education, learning, behaviors, good behaviors, how to make better decisions, and how to have better judgment about the day-to-day life, whether it's taking care of themselves, being responsible for another person. Because if a man don't take care of his kids or take care of his family, is he truly considered a man? He's just a male, so there's so many things to think about in this dynamic. But just to all you ladies out there, like, it is a big difference to be dealing with a male versus a man. And a lot of these men out here are calling themselves men, but they have no idea what that means. The lack of consideration that they have for a woman, the empathy that they have for a woman, the true love and respect that they have for a woman. But you have to remember, in order to have those things for yourself, for someone else, you have to have them for yourself. So these men don't necessarily have it. It's all a facade. And so the internet has given people who have necessarily done the work an opportunity to speak out, an opportunity to tell these various stories or share their opinions. But you have to remember, they're not backed by fact. These people aren't creditable. They're going off their own experience. But the one common denominator in most of these people's experience on these podcasts and these channels and things like that is themselves. And they're not taking any responsibility to evolve. You have to evolve, especially when God has put the divine feminine in a position to evolve, to be educated and things like that. That means he is asking and he is putting pressure in order for the men to take a different route. And the men who rebel, they'll end up in the red pill community. They'll end up in a lot of negativity and things like that. So ladies, stay hopeful out here, because there are real men who do exist. They may come in different shapes and forms. And then another thing, you can tell that they say 2 is a more feminine number. So you got to think about it. We in 2025. So the century that we're in starts with a 2. So it's a lot of feminine energy in the universe right now. And you can see that within the males, right? You see a lot of men, they want to go to the gym. They worrying about how they look, and they trying to get women off their looks. That's something that's not even a requirement for a man. Now, it's great that a man, goes to the gym, he keeps himself up or what have you, but that's not what women are looking for. That's so superficial. That's something that women do to get men. Women should be in the gym. Women are the ones who want to keep their body right so they can attract a good man, or attract what they call a high value man. That's a thing that women do to attract men. That's not something that men should be trying to do to attract women. That's something men should be trying to do to be healthy, so that they can provide for their family, so they can be there for their families, and they can support the unit, because they have the strength to provide. Because a man don't necessarily have to be the most attractive man for a woman to want to be with him. He has to be a masculine man, a provider. He has to provide security. He has to be a leader, someone who can guide the situation and put use all the chess pieces to help the family be successful, to gain riches and wealth, and to advance the people within his sphere of influence and within his respective responsibility. That's what he does. So a man who may not look as great, who has those characteristics, that man is way more valuable to a woman than a good looking man who think he got good hair, or going to the gym and think his body look good and think he an attractive man. Because when women look for men, they don't look for the attractiveness of a man. They look for, how does he treat me? How does he talk to me? Is he considerate of me? And then you go down the line, and then intimacy and things of that nature. But when a man gets out of his character and look at a woman as competition, constantly bickering with her, he's picking up too much feminine energy. He's picking up too much feminine energy. And so he becomes envious of women. He becomes bitter. He becomes frustrated by the behaviors of women because he's envious. Competing with the woman. And real men don't play in feminine energy like that. They say what they say and they mean what they say. And everybody in the household respects what they say because they have the judgment to make better decisions for the family, and they know that they have to be responsible for the family. So how they're communicating with everybody is the protection. That's why you have to be submissive to a man who within your household is telling you something to do, because he can foresee how it would make it easier on him to provide for you, to protect you, and to make sure that his family is secure. That's why you submit to a man. You submit to a man because you know he's going to handle shit. So if your submission is just like compliance so that the job can get done. But if there's no jobs getting done and there's no advancement for the family unit, and it's just a male in your life asking you to be submissive to him for his selfish desires, well, good luck, buddy. Right? Good luck. It's not going to happen, because a woman is going to feel your energy. The woman is going to feel how you move, and she's going to hear what comes out of your mouth. And she knows that your interaction with her is just for full on selfish intent. So yeah, these women will be with these guys for short term, but they don't want to buy into them because they're not to be trusted. You know, loyalty is always going to be a thing with a guy. He can be loyal, but a lot of times he still will lay down with somebody else. But at the end of the day, the moral of the story is ladies, you have to evaluate these males out here, and you want to look for characteristics in men that display masculinity and leadership, and men who are constantly evolving to become better men. Men who are evolving are not thinking about what women are doing. It's always been that way, right? That's why they have boys and girls clubs. That's why they have Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. You know, men mentor men, women mentor women. Women help to check and balance other women. Men help to check and balance other men. There's no reason why a man should be online trying to tell a woman what to do. He's not a woman. That goes back to the old saying, is a woman, how does a woman raise a man? She's never been a man. She doesn't know what it feels like to be a man. So all she can do is try to give her son or what have you good characteristics from a personal and spiritual perspective and things of that nature. But this is one of the reasons why we have so many overly emotional men, is because they've been raised by women. So they mimicking what they see in a woman versus what they would have seen in their fathers. Right? So the more things change, the more they stay the same. A man, he needs to be focused on giving men mentorship to evolve and be better men. There's no way he can tell a woman what to do. They don't know what it's like to be hormonal. They don't know what it's like to deal with different men or whatever the case may be, and how men have treated women and how they respond, and the emotional roller coaster of being a woman and why a woman does certain things. And then a lot of it is driven by men's behavior, because a woman is a receiver. So whatever you give a woman, she can return it back to you 10, 15, 20 fold. So if you're giving a woman an attitude, yeah, you're going to have a woman with an attitude. If you're making a woman comfortable, yeah, she's going to make you comfortable. If you talking to a woman, a real woman, right? Because there's some girls out here. Women ain't perfect. I'm not saying that by any means. I think both genders have some issues. But the one thing that I will not do is be out here trying to coach men. unless I'm coaching them based on what they want to know about a woman. Because that's the one thing that I'm in this life to master is femininity and what it is to be a woman. And knowing my true self and how I share that with my partner or a man. So be on the lookout. Once again, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and will continue to grow and excel, and most importantly, evolve.